Bryant McFadden, CBS Sports HQ NFL analyst, who does a great job and is with us once again here on Tiki and Tierney. Bryant, how you doing, bud?
Man, I'm doing good. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man. So who's quarterback in the Steelers in November? Because from what I'm seeing, I'm not so sure it's going to be Ben.
I hope it's Ben. I mean, if you don't have Ben, clearly you don't have a shot of winning meaningful ball games without him. But I hope it is Big Ben. I think most importantly right now, I know he's been facing a lot of criticism, but the offensive line hasn't done him any favors.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he got hit over 10 times last week by the Raiders. He was sacked twice, but he got hit over 10 times. I mean, when you talk about a veteran quarterback at his stage in his career, when you have to have sound structure in front of you to be able to be successful. Look at Tom Brady. Tom Brady's not a mobile guy. We know he's been a statue throughout the majority of his career.
Yep.
But his offensive line unit do a great job in making sure he's comfortable. And that has to be the case in Pittsburgh if they expect to see better numbers coming from number 7.
I'm messing with you. I mean, I want to see Ben, get it together. Who knows if he's even playing next year. But if this is it, I'd like to see him have, one more good season. Great respect for a future Hall of Famer. The guy's a gamer. But what surprises me, Brian, for a great franchise like the Steelers, and we don't throw that around loosely, they are a great franchise. It is mind-bendingly boggling, if that makes any sense, to me, that last year they couldn't get the tough yard on the ground. They couldn't pass protect. And here we are, once again, pretty much bottom 5 win rate, pass and run block. I mean, the offensive line seems, it's early, but it looks like it's bad again. How? And they got different players on it.
Yeah, well, I think the continuity, the lack thereof, is definitely showing up. You got so many new faces on the offensive line. The chemistry and the rhythm clearly is not there. But the thing is, last year, you remember, they weren't playing outstanding football in the beginning of the season a year ago, but they were winning ball games. But things kind of slowed down towards the latter part of last year, and it became a big, big deal. It became a big talking point for all of us. I think right now for the offensive line, they got to come together, because that offense will only go as the offensive line goes. And if they continue to struggle, Najee Harris, who we all believe in, has the talent to be a real big-time like player at the running back position, he will look average. The wide receivers will look average. So to answer your question, the problem is the individuals that's in the uniform that's playing on the offensive line, they all got to look themselves in the mirror and play better football.
Yeah, and that's hard to do when you don't get a ton of time in the offseason or in the preseason, and you don't play in the preseason games, and now you're just thrown into the fire. So, I hope they get better as the year goes on, because everybody wants to see Big Ben go out the right way. But really, the Steelers are going to win with their defense. I mean, they've been fantastic the last couple of years until they suffered all those injuries last year. But this year, I mean, they look back to these old school Steelers defense. Mike Tomlin doesn't get enough credit for what he does defensively. I know a lot of people think he's just a cheerleader coach, but he's actually in that meeting room, and he's calling plays, and he's involved. It's good to see him, and I know you agree with this, back to having those defenses that matter and mean something in the NFL.
No question. He's a defensive-minded coach. He's coming from a defensive side, being a secondary guy in Tampa, and then becoming a DC in Minnesota before coming to Pittsburgh to be the head seat. So no question. I mean, he's a guy that understands defense. He's very, very instinctive. Mike T and Coach Tom and Coach Cowher has similar traits when it comes to expectations on the defensive side. They love having tough football players play defense. Big guys that can run. That has always been the MO in Pittsburgh, and he's been able to continue to put that type of play on the defensive side. And I can tell you this much, the thing about Pittsburgh, and I love, because I'm a defensive-minded guy, Tiki, I'm sorry to say that, but defense wins championships. But that has been the structure for the organization. Physical, beat-you-up type defense. We don't want to finesse you. We want to take you in a back alley and swing on you until you fall down. They got to get back to doing that, but if they don't, I don't know if the offense right now can bail them out. We saw last week against the Raiders, because of the injuries, you went in the game without Joe Hayden. You went into the game without Devin Bush. And then you lost TJ.
Yep.
I mean, defensively, they had some issues, but the offense was not there to back them. And that could be something that we need to monitor throughout the season, especially if the defensive players don't get healthy.
So we're talking about Bryant McFadden. He's with us here on Tiki and Tierney. Brian, CBS Sports HQ NFL analyst and a Super Bowl champ, former Steeler.
Yep, this game tonight, Brian, is really interesting, because I don't think people saw Carolina's defense being as stout as it is. Currently number 1 points, number 1 overall, and Phil Snow in his second year as a defensive coordinator coordinator has exactly what you would want. He's got edge rushers. He's got a young secondary that's aggressive and a good linebacking core at the same time. Did you expect this? I mean, I don't think anybody saw the Carolina Panthers starting 2-0 and winning. The Jets are what they are, but the Saints just come off a beating of the Green Bay Packers, and they basically handled them. They only had 128 total yards, did New Orleans. So, I mean, is this surprising, or should we have expected this in Carolina?
You know what? I expect a good, sound play, definitely an improvement from a year ago, but I'm surprised to see how well they've been able to dominate. And I know people will say, well, they played the Jets, and we know the Jets is basically a homecoming for any team they're playing against.
All right, keep moving, keep it moving.
They get paid, too. They get nice checks over there, too. And then looking at what they did against a disadvantage, to say the least, Saints team with all the players, the staff members that weren't able to travel, they just dominated. And that's still a divisional foe, and they know each other extremely well. They just dominated. So me personally, I'm surprised to see how well they've been able to dominate. But I can tell you this much. This has been a structure they put in place over the last year and a half. Because remember, if you go back to last year's draft, they devoted all their draft picks basically on the defensive side.
That's right.
No, not basically. Not basically. Every one of them, man.
Every one of them. I just wanted to make sure I give myself some leeway to sneak in an offensive player at the back end. I want to give myself some leeway. But you look at what they did, Derek Brown. You look at Jeremy Chin, who's a Swiss Army knife. If football had a 5'2" player, that would be Jeremy Chin because he can do so much. Then you look at Brian Burns, one of the more elite up-and-coming pass rushers that no one is talking about in the National Football League. And J.C. Horn, man, he's a dog. J.C. Horn is a guy you want to get in the back alley and fight with because he's going to go with you from start to finish. And he's a guy that can eliminate any opposing wide receiver's top number one guy because he plays with that confidence. So I love everything about their structure. And I don't want to say they have a homecoming game tonight, but I can tell you this much. I got them in my fantasy lineup because I'm expecting big things from the Panthers defense. And this probably will, because I don't see Mills putting up any points against this outstanding team that he's going to be going against. Oh, by the way, they also lead the league in sacks, 10 sacks in 2 ball games.
That's right.
Got to mention that.
Yeah, listen, I'll just be more direct. Lay the 8 points. They're going to absolutely destroy this team. The Texans are going to get their doors blown off tonight. I feel like they're going to get a touchdown defensively. 34-17, 37-13. It's going to be, I think it's going to be a wide gap. But from the Carolina Panthers, an ascending team, to another team that has started well before and has been here before, but it feels a little different to us. Now, you watched every snap with the Steelers and the Raiders. The Raiders right now, from scheme, what you see in the trenches, the character, the depth, do you think that this is truly sustainable, or is there another second-half swoon coming for the boys in the desert?
For Raider Nation, please don't have a second-half slump. The last 2 years, like you said, they started off on fire, and then they slow down and just cut the grill all the way off with no fire because they just, they become a bit stagnant. So for Raider Nation, hopefully they can sustain this level of play. But one thing that I see that is different from the other years, right, defensively, they can get after you. They fight. They got a lead dog on the defensive line in Max Crosby. You know what I mean? He's a guy who plays with a lot of effort, and I love that about him. He never takes a play off, and he's like the lead singer of the group. Everybody else follows suit and play their role. So that has been a difference, I think, compared to what we've seen in years past from Raider teams. Defensively, they really have what it takes to be able to create plays and create pressure. Now, my concern for Raider Nation, right, they've been able to be 2-0 play against 2 playoff caliber teams and beat them on the arm of Derek Carr. Can he sustain that level of play? Because right now the running game has been absent. It hadn't shown up at all. Can he sustain his level of play with so much being asked of him to do because the running game has been missing?
Yeah, no, you're right, and Josh Jacobs is banged up as well, so that doesn't even make it any better. The other undefeated team in the AFC is the Denver Broncos, Brian, and look, they've been handed an easy beginning of the schedule. They played the Giants on the road. They went to Jacksonville on the road. Now they're home against the Jets, and then it gets a little tough because they get the Baltimore Ravens, but that's also at home. But the question here is about Teddy Bridgewater, and I mean, he hurt his knee in Minnesota. Everybody loved him. They couldn't wait for him to get healthy and be contributor on a team. And then it's kind of like he's been done wrong every step of the way. Like, it's like, all right, we're going to move on from you. We're going to bring in whoever, and you're going to go to New Orleans. And yeah, great, but we don't really want you. He's going to sign with Carolina. He's there for Carolina for a year. Plays okay, not great. We're going to jettison you so we can get Sam Darnold. It seems like he may have finally found a home after 4 years of bouncing around. But Teddy Bridgewater, can he be a catalyst? I mean, it looks like it so far, but can he be that guy?
No question. But to go back to what you were saying about Teddy being bounced around, it was mostly Sam Darnold. It seemed like everywhere Teddy went, Sam Darnold followed, and they had to move Teddy Bridgewater. You know, with the Jets and then with the Carolina.
That's
most
right.
recently,
Forgot about the Jets.
Yeah,
Include that.
We had him.
It's Sam Darnold who's been causing Teddy to move around. So I don't see Sam having to make a change to Denver. But to answer your question, yeah, man, Teddy is more than a serviceable quarterback. The thing that I love about Teddy, guys, he won't lose a ball game for you. And as a former defender, that's what we want. Just don't put us in a position to lose, because we know eventually you guys will make plays. But if you put us in positions to lose or put us in difficult positions, we won't win. We won't win ball games in the National Football League. And what he's doing also in in Denver, compared to what he wasn't able to do in Carolina, he's pushing the football down the football field.
Yeah,
because he has guys that can go get it. And I'm not saying that he didn't have the type of players that can get it, but he didn't have the comfort level to be able to attack and be more aggressive. Cortland Sutton, healthy, he can go.
Yep.
And we know about Jerry Jeudy, but of course he will be on the shelf for quite some time.
Yep.
Hamler, Patrick, and Noah Fant. That's something that he missed last year in Carolina, tight end production.
That's right.
Noah Fant can be a real big-time player, especially in the seams, in between the 20s, doing damage for his quarterback. And that's who he has the luxury of throwing the football to. And I can tell you this much, this is a team that people need to monitor. I know we just highlighted the Raiders.
Yeah.
But if you look at the AFC West, when it comes to potential and when it comes to nice play, taking advantage of the opportunity that they've had, I mean, this could be a competitive division throughout the course of the year.
Brian, last thing for me. We're talking to our buddy Bryant McFadden, HQ NFL analyst, CBS Sports. I know the record's 0-2. I know the stats on both sides of the ball are horrendous. But aside from that, what are you observing from a distance, granted, but the early foundation of culture down in Jacksonville? What Urban's trying to do? Is the message resonating? Will it eventually resonate? What do you see so far with the Jacks?
I see a horror movie that will be bad from start to finish. Ooh. I don't see any positivity right now.
Wow.
I mean, and when you look at some horror movies, you see people escape whatever it is they're running from. I don't think they're going to run from what they're trying to escape in Duval County right now, because of the thing about college coaches that are successful in the National Football League, they put people that's around them that they've been in the league for quite some time. They know how the league is going. I saw a clip from, I think it was last week's game when Jacksonville played Denver, and he, in the beginning of the game with Coach Vic Fangio from the Broncos, he mentioned him. It's like, man, it's like I'm playing against Alabama every week. They're 5 stars everywhere on the football field. I mean, wait a minute, you didn't already assume that? You didn't already think that? Like, when I heard that, and I hope he was joking making that statement, but it was just, I was so dumbfounded. I'm like, yo, this is the National Football League. This is not the Big Ten. This is not the SEC. Every team has elite, high-level players, regardless of the record, and you should attack them in that way. So me personally, when I heard that, I'm like, well, he was thinking about just because the team is such and such, they might not have elite-type players. No, this is the National Football League. But I don't see anything changing in Jacksonville, guys.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
My thought process is this. He can say whatever he want to say. Urban Meyer is mad that he accepted the Jacksonville Jaguars job when he did, because if he would have known that SC job would be open, he would definitely be there or be a candidate for that job and probably would take it. Yeah. Because in college football, Tiki, you know about this. You can control everything as a head coach.
That's right.
You control everything. You don't control everything in the National Football League, especially if you're a rookie coach.
Yeah, and he's got Trent Baalke as his guy.
My old buddy from San Francisco.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's going to be ugly down there in Jacksonville. Bryant, we appreciate you, my friend. Be well, man.
All right, thank you for having me.
You got it.
Take care.
Really good.
He's awesome.
Yeah, he's great. From the first time he was on, he was good, and he's become really good every time. Better and better and better. Great spot. Love having him on. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit that bell to be notified when we drop fresh content.